Here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait, I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Coming up on The Devil's Details, AngeLOLogy. Good morning, Star Lovelies, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just 2 lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And just a reminder, today's episode was originally recorded as bonus content for our first podcast, The Exorcist Minute, so you might hear a few references and inside jokes that aren't funny yet, but will be if you just have faith.
And hey, why not subscribe to The Exorcist Minute and hear all the fun we had with that movie and book?
All right, so I think we should hand it over. Take it away, past Lester and Keenan. We stand in solidarity with the SAG-AFTRA strike. And today, folks, we are bringing you part 3 of the history of the devil. But okay, folks, let's now take a magical trip to the Middle Ages. And no, I'm not talking about that time in your life when all your best years are behind you and you look at the accomplishments you've made and you realize you could have traveled more. Christ, you've never been to Paris. And that novel you started has been sitting in the drawer gathering dust for the last 8 years. And you don't know if you have the strength to face all those empty pages again. And all your friends are getting married and having kids. And your brother just bought a house. But that's okay. That's okay because you're chasing your dream. And you have a movie podcast. And sure, you're not allowed to talk about movies right now. That's okay. That's okay. You can talk about other things like history. Everybody loves history. No problem. You're doing great. Just keep your head up one day at a time, they say. Every day, we're a little bit closer to death. And who knows what lies beyond. I mean... Yeah.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, the journey is the important thing. I mean, let's take a magical trip to the Middle Ages. Yes, the Middle Ages full of knights and kings and fair maidens and terrible hygienic standards.
And midlife crises in the Middle Ages were like, oh, and you've never been to the town square. And that dung heap that you started, you never finished. You keep staring at the face. You can't go back to it.
You're 17. You're an old hag by now.
Right.
Syphilis is right around the corner. No, Keenan, I recently learned about this. Do you know the difference between high fantasy and low fantasy?
Yes, I guess we talk about high fantasy more because low fantasy is so kind of anything you want and sort of defined against high fantasy. So like high fantasy is like I guess Tolkien, right, is the best. Like there's elves and little classes of people, and it's like in this pretty set time of some time in the past, and a lot of low fantasy is the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you again.
Okay,
and I want you to say no.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Keenan,
I don't know. I can't say no if I know it. So I was like, I'm going to say I'd love to hear your definition.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Keenan, I recently learned about this. Do you know the difference between high fantasy and low fantasy?
I think so, but I'd love to hear your version because I've always been a little fuzzy on it.
Okay, so real quick, and this is for folks out there too. So high fantasy is like Lord of the Rings. It's it's a completely fantastical world with with all its own rules. It's also morally black and white, right? It's very clear delineation of who is good and who is bad, right? Think of like the elves and the orcs, right? In Lord of the Rings, it's like there's no question about who's the good guys and who's the bad guys, right?
Well, they're ugly.
Yeah,
the bad people are really ugly. That's how you know they're bad.
And they live in a land of like ash and smoke and where nothing grows, right? It's like, I wonder who the bad guys are, right?
Yeah, and there's no good orc who like, I learned the error of my ways by interacting with the hobbits or the elves.
The orcs are just like inherently evil, right?
And they love being evil.
Yeah, right? But yeah, so say like very, very clear who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Also, in high fantasy, nobody poops.
That's right.
Have you noticed? Like nobody has anuses. Nobody poops. Nobody goes to the bathroom. Nobody does any like gross things. Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So then you got low fantasy. Low fantasy is grounded in realism. The characters are morally ambiguous. Right. You could have like a good orc in low fantasy, right? You could also have like kind of like a scoundrelly good guy, right? Who maybe he doesn't start out as good, but he becomes good later, right?
Okay,
and then also poop is everywhere. It covers the buildings. It covers the care. It's just you can't get away from it, right?
The good old days.
Yep. Right. You're lousy with poop. Yeah. So low fantasy. Just think low L lousy with poop. Right.
Do you know what lousy means though? While we're talking about all this.
Oh, actually, wait. Hang on. No, Keenan.
So like a lice is what lousy. So a louse is a singular form of lice, right? Like a mouse is a singular form of mice. And so if you're lousy with something, it is if you were being infected by lice.
It's just like you just got a bunch of them like all over you, right?
Right. You got whatever it is. So you're like lice ridden with poop.
Wow.
Metaphorically.
Yeah. I don't know which is worse.
But probably, probably also literally.
Gross. Yeah. So yeah, that's the Middle Ages, folks. Yeah. Roughly from the 5th to the 15th century, where we see the sort of consolidation of Christian doctrine and the spread of it throughout Europe, right? We got theologians like St. Augustine of Hippo and Thomas Aquinas elaborating on Christian demonology, which is now a thing. Also the expanding on original sin and the devil's role in tempting humanity. This is where those ideas come from.
But you'd think they would come from the Bible.
Yeah. But no.
but why is that? Like the Bible has to be interpreted for people who can't read the Bible, because that's the vast majority of people who can't read it, I suppose. And yeah, it gets discussed within the upper echelon of theologians, right? And they have to sort of figure out what this means and how to relate it to everyday life. So
yes, and also how can we use this to control people?
Oh, I was trying to be nice.
I love how you're the one who's always trying to be nice to these historical Christians. But yeah, and then like visually, we start to see some amazing depictions of the devil in medieval art. These are going to be like a huge influence on how we see the devil, and a lot of familiar traits are going to be established here. Anytime in a movie, someone finds like a magic book and they uncover the name of the demon, and the camera cuts to a picture, it's probably one of these.
Okay.
Right? It's never the demon they say it is, right? It's just a really ugly picture of the devil, because like he looks different in all of these, right? Except when it's Baphomet, and we're going to get to Baphomet. Okay, so now first we got to look at St. Augustine of Hippo, which, thanks to Keenan and this show, I now know just means St. Augustine of Horse.
Don't say I never taught you anything.
All right, there we go. This is a learning podcast, folks.
I'm sure that means something else in this context, but yes, that's fine.
I'm just going to say that he was the great grandfather of our horseman.
Great. So that's how we can unite this all.
Saint Augustine of Hippo. Yes. Right.
Right.
But yeah. Okay. So Saint Augustine was a theologian and a philosopher. Hey, those are those two teams that Karras and Kinderman were joking about in the book, right? Because remember, like Karras is jogging and he has the T-shirt that says philosophers, right? And he says they used to play against the theologians, right? And Kinderman's like, theologians 1, philosophers 0, am I right? And Karras smiles and he shoots back, philosophers 0, theologians. God damn it, I did it again.
You just never want to let those philosophers win, huh?
Damn it. Okay. But yeah, okay. So St. Augustine of Hippo, of course, he's playing for both sides, right? Like,
wait, which sides?
Because he is a theologian and a philosopher.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. And he's a horse and a hippo. All sides.
Right.
But, he lived from 354 to 430 AD. He is best known for his influential work, The City of God, and his ideas on original sin. So if I'm not mistaken, in my research, he introduced the concept. So this is the original sin, which I was surprised by because I thought the originator of that was God.
Yeah. But no. Right, but it's hard when you have lived in a world with original sin has existed for 1,500 years to go back and read the original Genesis, and you're like, you just see it there, right? You're just like, oh, this is what original sin is, but it's not in there.
It's not called original sin.
You're right.
Yeah, folks. This is the early stages of that thousands of years old telephone game we were talking about, right? This is where it starts to pick up speed. But yeah, folks. So just a brief rundown of original sin for you lucky individuals who weren't taught this, who weren't taught that all humans, all of us, are sinful by our very nature. That we inherited this from Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden. According to St. Augustine, this inherited sinfulness stains all humans from birth. So from birth, we're all bad. We're all sinful. We are already marked and destined for the fires of hell, and life is an uphill battle to get out of it through repentance and prayer, and of course, special perks you get with your membership, like baptism and communion. Talk about gatekeeping.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that in the Exorcist book, where we have a lot of Damien Karras's fears about that, of damnation for not doing the right thing or not helping people find their way out, and that's just in the background of basically everything he's thinking about in the book.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So according to St. Augustine, this transgression is what ruptured the harmony, the union between humans and God. And now we are considered fallen and with sin from birth. And this idea has become a cornerstone for Western Christian theology.
Maybe a capstone.
In any case, Augustine goes on to say that original sin is actually transmitted through the act of procreation. Now, just to clarify, he didn't see sexual desire itself as inherently sinful, but as a byproduct of original sin, a manifestation of our fallen nature. So in this view, if I'm interpreting this correctly, before the fall, our sexual desire would be like under the control of our rational mind. So we could like turn it on and off like a switch. But now we are at the mercy of our desires, just like all the other animals. And so, not surprisingly, Augustine was a big champion of marital chastity and proper sexual quote unquote proper sexual behavior.
Get those quotes in there, those audio quotes.
Yeah. Within the bounds of marriage. So
right.
Bringing order to what he saw as chaos, right?
Yeah, and so I guess that means all of us are through procreation, just through the natural acts of being created and being born, we have original sin because it's passed on down. But then Mary is immaculately conceived, so she doesn't have original sin.
Right.
And then Jesus is further conceived from her in a special way, and so Jesus doesn't have original sin either, right?
Right. Wait, did she immaculately conceive, or was she immaculate?
She was immaculately conceived. So the Immaculate Conception is not the conception of Jesus. It is the conception of Mary.
Really?
Swear to God. Well, swear to your God. Yes.
How did I never know about this?
Because it's confusingly named, obviously, and then she's the one who gives birth to, the baby Jesus. And so, but it's Mary is immaculately conceived, yes.
Wow. And then you have the ascension, right? So she doesn't even actually die. She just like goes straight up to heaven.
Oh, I don't know that part.
Yeah. Well, I maybe hang on.
That's interesting too.
Catholic Church teaches that the Virgin Mary, having completed the course of her earthly life, was assumed body and soul into heavenly glory.
All right.
Yeah. So she didn't die. She just like went straight up.
She's a special person. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. All right. According to the Catholics, I guess the Protestants and all the other denominations were like, makes me mad.
So mad. You stay over at that part of town. We'll stay over at this part of town where the Denny's is. Right. And you get the Cracker Barrel over there.
Oh, those Catholics and those Protestants just walking down those alleys, snapping the fingers. Oh no, they're gonna rumble. When you're a priest, you're a priest.
Yeah, you're a priest through and through.
Yeah. They're doing the snapping, but then they're also doing the sign of the cross, you know?
Right.
It's really, really fast. But yeah, now, folks, you might be thinking, in this deep dive about the devil, where is the devil in all of this?
Yeah, where's the devil in all of this?
I'm glad you asked, Keenan. So St. Augustine believes that the serpent in the Garden of Eden was none other than the devil.
Yeah, it's got to be somebody, right?
Right? Now,
it's really conspicuous that he has this big role and then just goes away.
And it just goes away, right?
Yeah, let's clean that up.
Yeah. So now I checked, and while he's not the first theologian to put forth this idea, he is certainly the most well-known. So you could be forgiven for thinking that he was the first, since his tweet got the most retweets, I guess. But yeah, so how about that? Now we got that connection firmly in place, right? We were talking before in our earlier episode how like it does not say in the Bible that the serpent is the devil, right? So, but now St. Augustine, right, says it, and it's getting retweeted all over the place, right? It's basically canon now, right? The snake is the devil. It was the devil the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Like it does help. Because what's this freaking snake's deal, man? If he's not the devil,
the fact that let's do devil's advocate.
Against the snake being
against
the devil.
the snake being the devil.
Yes.
But let's just hypothetically say that the snake isn't the devil. Yeah, he shows up, he leaves. And we never hear about him again.
He was just created like the day before. He comes up, and then these new things come on, these people, right? And he's like, I don't like these people. I don't like the cut of their jib. And
I have no comparison, but
right. I'm gonna tear them apart for some reason. I'm gonna get them mad at each other. I'm gonna take the womanly one over here and what's his plan?
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's going to become the he's not going to get dominion over the beasts of the air and the sea. No. Like, what's his deal? What's his game plan?
I don't know. Yeah, it's much cleaner. It makes much more sense if it was the devil, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so Augustine goes on to say that ever since
hold on. Does he want the fruit himself because he can't pluck it? He doesn't got thumbs?
No. You would think, like if that was the thing, why does he talk to Adam and Eve at all?
Right.
He just goes and gets the fruit.
But he doesn't do it.
He doesn't do it. Like in all the artistic depictions, he's talking to Eve. He's in a tree.
Yeah.
He's not on the ground.
Right, absolutely not.
Because that's his punishment, is that he has to, crawl on his belly on the ground.
Punishment for what?
Keenan, I didn't write the Bible, okay?
I want answers.
Well, St. Augustine has given them to you, okay?
All right.
Yeah.
That's my last interruption about the snake. But the more I think about it, I don't like it.
Well, Keenan, it may surprise you. You're not supposed to like it because it's the devil.
Much
Come
easier.
to find, right?
I'll stop thinking about it if it's the devil.
There we go. But yeah, so St. Augustine goes on to say that ever since that initial transgression, we, basically all of us, are fighting this uphill battle with the devil every day, as in all of mankind, but also all of us personally, as he continues to tempt us and try to steer us further and further away from God. And it is only through divine grace and divine intervention that we can resist him. We can't do it alone. Mm-hmm. Now,
it's not like a snake that you could just go inside and be away from the snakes. Like if you don't want snakes anymore, you just go inside, shut the door. But the devil's trickier than that.
That was St. Augustine's first draft. So just get your ass inside.
Right.
Close the door.
Look under the bed before you go to sleep.
Yep. Right. You just go where they aren't.
But the devil's freaking everywhere.
Yeah, the devil's everywhere, right? He's the prince of this world. But no, so actually, like, yeah, I can't get past that. Like, if the original authors didn't intend for the snake to be the devil, because they weren't even thinking of a devil,
Right.
who the hell is the snake?
They don't give him a name.
No.
No.
Is he the only one? Because like
He's the only animal that talks.
He's the only animal that talks.
Right.
This is I'm starting to see some holes in this holy book.
Right. Adam is given dominion over the beast, but not this one.
But not this one.
Yeah.
Right. Did he? So Adam named all the animals, right?
That's right. He did.
And did he turn to this one as like, and you are a snake?
You're a
Or no, a
snake.
serpent, I guess, right?
Yeah, just listen to that serpent. It describes you.
Yeah.
But anyways,
And-
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
And you, I guess you reproduce asexually because there's no other snake with you.
Well, the snake is like, you're one to talk. I mean, yeah, there's
asexual. I don't know what the other thing is because I haven't sinned yet. Whatever that means.
Right, but they made woman from man, but they haven't made was serpent from serpent yet.
From wuss serpent from. Hey, this is history, not herstory.
Oh yeah, this serpent's one of those people.
Oh boy,
Don't like this serpent. Yeah, well, so as St. Augustine says, right? So we all have this original sin, and then we can't get through it alone. We need the teachings and practices and support of the church.
Right, of the church,
Yes.
right? I love how it's like, well, you need help from God, and the best way to get help from God is from this organization that I'm part of. Yeah.
What a
So,
cynical way to look at it, Lester.
hey. Okay, but we want to hear about the other stuff that St. Augustine wrote about. So while not as extensive as later theologians, St. Augustine did also contribute a little bit to Christian demonology, right? His most notable work regarding demonology is The City of God, right? De Civitate Dei. I'm gonna try. That's a Latin thing. I don't know Latin, guys.
You might need to announce to the people at home when you're trying to do Latin first.
Because it's so bad.
They're like, what are you saying?
You don't want to just make a running jump. You got to tell people to clear out.
Right.
No, okay.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer, right? Hold my communal wine. No, yeah. So the City of God translates. It's in Latin. It's De Civitate Dei, right? But the day and the day, one of them has just a DE and the other one's a DEI. I don't know. It's a dead language. Nobody knows how it's pronounced.
One is the day and one is God day.
Right.
Yeah, like a deity.
Like a deity, right? Yeah. Have a good deity. Anyway. Again, right? So the City of God, right? De Civitate Dei, is not a comprehensive treatise on demons, but it does include discussions on the nature of evil and the role of demons in the world, right? So essentially, right? It states that demons were once angels created by God, but had fallen from grace along with Lucifer due to their rebellion against God. So already, we're making some big statements here, right? Remember before, folks, we were we talked about like the history of the name Lucifer, right? How it doesn't even refer to Satan or the devil, right? It's the planet Venus and this Babylonian king, right? And now thanks to St. Augustine, we are associating it with the devil. Lucifer is the devil. He is a fallen angel, and as are all the other demons, right?
Right.
2, demons are actively engaged in attempting to lead people away from God and into spiritual peril. 3, a strong faith and a life lived in accordance with Christian virtues are powerful defenses against demonic temptations. 4, even though demons are allowed to exert their malevolent influence, God's providence and sovereignty ultimately prevails. So God permits demonic activities as part of a divine plan that will ultimately lead to the greater good and the salvation of the faithful.
That's a pretty big leap for me for where we had coming from.
Yeah.
Because the other, I mean, all of them are leaps forward, right? But so far we've been pretty much like taking from what's in the Bible and trying to square circles, you know, and like compare sort of these Christian mythology and compare them to the Bible and make them all the same character, right? Where does this come from? The idea of it's sort of predetermined.
I think this comes from the church wanting more power.
Lester.
You know what? If I had to guess, it just like this is the yes anding of, you know, people saying, it was like, well, you're the authority. If you're the church, you're the authority. Why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And they were like, well, demons are allowed to exert their malevolent influence. God's providence and sovereignty ultimately prevails. Greater good, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That one doesn't have that's missing a citation, I would say, from the Bible. Like, where does God say anything like that?
Yeah. Right.
Maybe it's there. I don't know it as well as a lot of people, but maybe it's there. I'm not sure. I mean, people have read St. Augustine and written books about him, so maybe I'm just missing it. But
I can see the story of Job being cited for this particular point. Right? It's like, oh well, you see, God allowed Satan, not lowercase the Satan, but he allowed Satan to do all these horrible things to Job. So that kind of like proves St. Augustine's point about like how God allows the demons to do all these horrible things. Today.
Okay. So that one time, that means that's what's going on in all other cases of badness. Okay.
I think the Book of Job is a particular citation for this point, right?
Okay. I will look into that more. I'm not saying I know anything about this.
Nor do I, folks. Again, like write in, like if anybody else is like a better expert on St. Augustine of Hippo, please write in theexorcistminute@gmail.com. Firstly, tell me whether it does have anything to do with horses.
We could Google that.
But I want the engagement, Keenan. I want to know people are listening.
All right, so we're making mistakes on purpose for engagement. Welcome to the world of
or
podcasting.
Are we? But yeah, and the last point that he makes in The City of God about demons, he says, both demons and the wicked will face eternal damnation, while the righteous will be rewarded with eternal life.
Okay.
So there you go.
That sounds like Revelation, right? That's what I would guess. Yeah, like at least that one I understand where that's coming from a little bit more.
Yeah, right. So that's St. Augustine of Hippo. Then you got Thomas Aquinas. Not Thomas Aquinas. He's like St. Augustine of Hippo, but on land.
We're making Latin jokes now.
these jokes write themselves, man. Listeners are like, yeah, Lester, we know. But no, Thomas Aquinas, right? He lived from 1225 to 1274, which is 50 years? 49 years?
1274 minus 1225.
25 to 74.
49 years.
Yes. Okay. There we go. We got it, right?
Okay. All
so it's 49. He lived only 49 years. That scares me.
And he's done so much more than the rest of us.
He's just, oh God. I have not added a contribution to the Christian religion yet.
Well, I mean, I remember when I turned 33 and feeling like, by the time Jesus was 33, he'd come back and died on the cross.
He redeemed all the sins of the world, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. So I stopped. I gave up after that of trying to compare myself to other people.
It's looking for like my next. I'm looking at Methuselah now. I'm just like, I got time. I got time.
You get time. What did he do though?
But he just lived really long.
He just lived really long.
Yeah,
that's what he's famous for.
So actually, the older I get, the greater I am in comparison to no.
Anybody can just live really long.
Yeah, well,
Anybody, it's easy.
Anybody. But yeah, okay. So back to Thomas Aquinas. So he was a Dominican friar. He was a philosopher and a theologian. Again, playing both sides of this game, right? Is Karras the only philosopher who is not a theologian?
Theologians 1 or Theologians 2 now.
Yeah, right.
Philosophers
0, right? All theologians are philosophers, but not all rectangles are Jesuits.
That's right.
Yeah, got it. I got it. Nailed it. No. But yeah, okay. So Aquinas is famous for introducing Aristotelian philosophy into Christian theology.
Mm.
I messed up Christian because I was focusing so hard on saying Aristotelian. Aristotelian philosophy. Let me say that again. But yeah, so Aquinas was famous for introducing. God damn it. But yeah, so Aquinas is famous for introducing Aristotelian philosophy, that is Aristotle, into Christian theology. So speaking of Greek philosophers, right? But yeah, so Keenan, can you guess what Thomas Aquinas called this melding of Aristotelian philosophy with Christian theology?
Oh, I don't know if it's not like Aristochristian or something.
You would think, right? That sounds fun, right? or Christilian, right, or something like that. Right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. No, he called it Thomism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That is Thomism. Thomism. Right?
Okay, all right.
But I feel like the last name has more of a kick to it.
Aquinasism?
Aquinasism, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't his last name.
Thomas Aquinas?
People didn't have last names, right?
Oh, is this one of those, like, he's Thomas of Aquinas, like Leonardo of Vinci?
I believe so. Right, you can't call him Da Vinci. Well, you can. I mean, everyone knows what you're talking about when you say Da Vinci. But
yeah. Ah, okay. Well, there we go, folks. I learned that today.
Yeah, what is he? He's Thomas of Aquino, yes.
Ah, okay. Thomas Aquinas, okay. Well, anyway, like, Aquinism.
He wouldn't want it to be named after the town he's from, and then everyone forgets who he is, right?
Right. Even though he's supposed to be, like, humble and Christian.
I'm sure he was fine. I'm sure he was very nice.
He's fine. Yeah. But all that to say, Keenan, if you were to introduce a new way of thinking into the world, right, and 100 years from now, kids in school were reading about the principles of Keenanism, what would that be like? What would the core tenets of Keenanism be?
Core tenets of Keenanism, certainly everybody chill. like calm down a little bit, everybody. And then let me look up what let me get that phrase, to never attribute to malice what would be explained by incompetence or by stupidity or by ignorance.
Yes,
or something. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, try not to imagine that everyone's being mean to each other on purpose. That is Hanlon's razor, I'm finding out.
Yes, that actually floated past my For You page the other day.
Oh, cool. I hope Hanlon isn't some white supremacist or something now that I'm quoting him. I have no idea who Hanlon is, but it's going into Keenanism. Yeah. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity.
I like that.
So I guess it's it's like that and some Confucianism, but not as rigid of Confucian. What I like about Confucianism is okay, everybody, I'm your podcast co-host. Let's try to figure out the best way to be that podcast co-host, right? I'm your son. Let's try to figure out the best way to be your son. I'm your mentor, right? But certainly more chill than Confucius, because he was like, if you're not the right kind of son, you're messing it all up and you're disgracing everything and throwing it off. So yeah, Precept 1: everybody just chill.
Everybody just chill. I like that.
Yeah. Now, what about Lesterism?
Well, I'm realizing now in our shared Google Doc, I don't know if you can see this right here, but it looks like I've completely forgotten to write anything. I just have folks in my Google Doc. I just have parentheses, and and in the parentheses it says "write about Lesterism."
So is that the precept of Lesterism? Just write everything down.
Yeah, write everything down. Don't put things off until you're recording, because you're going to get caught.
All right, that's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. There we go.
All right, yeah, I like that a lot.
I'll just say I coined that.
That's very. Any other ones that's important to Lesterism?
Well, also, I mean, I think in religious studies classes that I've taken, one thing that I appreciate that you can find in all religions is just kind of it's either a tenet or it's a saying. It's basically boils down to don't be a dick. And I really like that, right? Like whether it's the Abrahamic religions or whether it's these newer religions or even older religions than the Abrahamic religions, there's always something in there that's just like, hey, like in Keenanism, right? It's like, just chill, just be nice to each other. That's gonna be like the core tenet of Lesterism is like, hey, just don't be a dick.
Yeah. Hey, do you know about Lesterland.
Wait, what? I thought you were like, you started with hey. So I thought you were modifying my quote.
Well, no.
You're asking me about, okay, what is,
do
no,
you
I don't know
about Lesterland?
I am very afraid to ask for clarification. What is Lesterland?
All right. So this is from a political scientist named Larry Lessig.
Okay.
And he says that he ran for president a couple of years ago. He didn't really get anywhere. It was sort of a stunt to get his idea for electoral reform.
Okay.
So he says that the amount of people who control U.S. elections, like the actual big money donors.
Uh-huh.
So, like you and I might give, I've never given to any campaign, but you and I might give like 10, 50, whatever the limit is, right? $250, something like that.
Sure.
Or a couple $1,000s is the limit. But most of us don't, that doesn't really matter when we're talking about billions of dollars, right? So the people who actually control the elections with the spending is several 100,000 people. And that's the same amount of people in America who are named Lester. So he says, like, imagine if we ceded control of democracy to every Lester out there, and we would be infuriated, right? We'd be like, no, like, there's not enough Lesters.
Well, you might be infuriated. Keenan, I don't think you noticed there's a little flaw in your statement there regarding myself. But go on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We'd be like, okay, the only ones who matter in the elections are those people named Lester. And the rest of us would be very upset about that. But we've taken for granted the idea that, well, the people who actually have the big donations, that's fine because it's, that's part of our system or whatever.
Yeah, I'm for this.
Well, again, I who have an in with the Lesters, I'm fine with this as well. Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
And any of our listeners out there,
right?
Who know
anybody who likes, comments, and subscribes, anybody who gives us a 5-star rating is pre-approved in the new kingdom, the new heaven on earth, run by all the Lesters.
Yes, the city of Lester.
Yeah, of which there are like 5. I don't know. If you're a Lester out there, like, I want to know about it because, like, I'm the only one that I know apart from my father and my father before me. That's
quite a lot.
Yeah, that's that already. Yeah, that's a lot, right?
Oh, and you'll get a lot of pressure, I'm sure, to name your son Lester when you have one.
Oh boy. Yeah. I'm still thinking about that. Right?
How do
Lester
you break
is a name.
That streak?
Very easily, actually. You just have experience with the name Lester, and it's very, very easy not to want to name your child Lester. Oh, sorry, Siri just tried to answer me. Did you hear that?
No.
I was like, I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Yeah, Siri wants in on Lesterland.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I looked it up. I don't know when these statistics are from, but there are 105,000 people named Lester in America.
In the world? In America?
Yeah. About 25% of that is first names and 75% of his last name. So that counts.
I would think, yes, last names mostly, yeah. Yeah.
99% of them are men with first names of Lester.
No, really, Keenan?
Well, someone's naming their daughters Lester out there. Apparently.
Or it could be a last name. Right? Yeah.
All right.
Very interesting. Well.
So that's Lesterism. And
right. I thought we were talking about the history of the devil, but...
we're talking about the future of Lester.
The future of Lester. Turns out they're the same thing. It's all come together. The Halloween costumes, everything. Right. My inflated sense of no. Okay, whatever. But yeah, okay. Let's talk a little bit about Thomism, right? Because did we describe Lesterism? I don't even know. I think we
don't be a dick.
Skirted. Yeah, don't be a dick.
Give me all the power.
Give me all the
power. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yep. Do unto others as you would do unto Lester. Yeah. Do unto Lester as you would have others do unto you.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. All right. But yeah, so okay, let's get back to Thomism, because I think this is an important stepping stone. So one of the central aspects of Thomism is its emphasis on natural theology, the idea that human reason can, to a certain extent, understand God and divine truths through the examination of the natural world. So Aquinas argued that reason and faith are not in conflict, but they complement each other.
Right.
And within this argument, Thomas Aquinas has these 5 ways, or these 5 proofs for the existence of God. These arguments are philosophical demonstrations of God's existence based on observation of the world that include the cosmological, the teleological, and moral arguments, right? This is a very, very simplified version, but here we go. Okay, so you got the cosmological argument, right? And that is, everything depends on something else for its existence. So there must be a first uncaused cause, or God, that started everything.
All right? I buy that.
Second is the teleological argument, and that is, the order and purpose in nature suggest that someone, i.e. God, intentionally designed everything for a specific purpose.
Okay.
All right, so it's kind of like, like very, very complicated, I guess, like gears and clock springs and stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then you got the moral argument, and that is, the existence of objective moral values implies a moral lawgiver, God, again, who created and enforces these morals.
This seems to be a false premise to start here. The existence of objective moral values.
Yeah, it's always with these philosophers / theologians. It's always the second to the last one that. It's like perfect comedic timing. It was like, here's the first tenet. It's like, yeah, I agree with that. Here's the second tenet. Oh, yeah. It's like, here's the third tenet. I'm like, wait a minute.
What do you talk?
Right.
I guess they had not been in contact with peoples who had sacrificed children to their god and things like that, right?
Are we talking about Moloch or Molech? Right?
Oh, they had. No, of course they had. Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, like the New World peoples. But yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So how could there be objective moral values if the? I don't know. Yeah.
We might be having a different interpretation of moral, right? Like, because then there's the idea, like, well, if God created everything, God is good. Our idea of good is kind of like a human idea versus, like,
Yeah. That's a logical fallacy. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah. So his last one, right? I feel like the last one always gets like, it's like, well, I'm here too. It's
no,
like,
you have two more actually.
Oh, we have 2 more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Then never mind. All right. Okay. So next we have the ontological argument, and that is, if we can conceive of a perfect being, God, it must exist because perfection includes existence.
Okay.
Let me say that again, because I don't understand it. Hang on. If we can conceive of a perfect being, parentheses, God, it must exist because perfection includes existence.
Okay.
You sound like you get this.
I'm all right with that one. So
explain this one to me.
So if there was not a perfect God, why could we conceive of a perfect God? Like thinking our ability to conceive of one means that it must exist, or that it leads some credence to its existing.
Because perfection includes existence.
Now, I would say that that's incorrect, but it makes sense in 1200. To me, is what I mean, because like we obviously understand now that there are things that we cannot conceive of, you and I, like dark matter and dark energy, that do exist.
But you just said the words dark matter and dark energy, and I have a picture in my mind.
Oh, I guess so. So they exist. Yeah, this one I understand, but I don't think it's correct, but I get where they're coming from. This, yes.
I've reached the edge of my brain with this one. I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
Okay.
If we can conceive of a perfect being, parentheses, God. Okay, I'm just going to shorten it. If we can conceive of God,
right,
he must exist because perfection. This is the second part. The perfection includes existence.
Well, because if it is perfect, yes, it would exist. If it didn't exist, that would be imperfect.
No, if it didn't exist, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be anything.
Right, and therefore would not be a very useful image of God. It would be imperfect.
But no, is this the end? Is this
Is this the end of the show?
This is like am I going to pop out of existence now?
No, you exist because you're perfect.
Well, Keenan, nobody's perfect. Oh, well, there we go. That's the end of the world right there. I have just started the heat death of the universe. with that statement. All right, I'm going to move on from this one.
Okay, good.
Because it is hurting my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. If we can conceive of a perfect,
You said you'd move on.
it's like a mosquito bite. I can't stop scratching. If we can conceive of a perfect being, if we can think of God, he must exist.
If God is perfect.
If we can think of God and God is perfect, he must exist.
Yes.
Because perfection includes. That's the thing that's getting me. What does that second part have to do with the first part?
Because if he is perfect, then he exists. If he does not exist, he is not a perfect God.
Keenan.
I don't know how we're just going to say the same thing over and over again.
Have you ever had the perfect hamburger?
No.
So then you can say that the perfect hamburger doesn't exist.
Oh, I don't know if I could say that the perfect hamburger doesn't exist.
But you've never had the perfect hamburger.
I can imagine what that would be, I suppose. Yes.
Or is it saying that because we can imagine the perfect hamburger, that hamburgers exist?
No. We're saying perfect differently. We're saying perfect would be, yes, infinitely good, infinitely useful, infinitely powerful.
Right.
Yes.
Where does taste factor in?
I don't know what God tastes like. That's for some other philosophical.
Well, I mean, Catholics have an idea of that. It's called communion.
Right. A little stale.
Sticks to the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, because they open them in the morning and they leave them in the bowl, and so.
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna move on from that one. That one breaks my brain, folks.
All right.
Please write in and help me understand this one. Use pictures if you can. Okay. Then we have his last one. It really was the penultimate one that got us. Then we have his last one. This is the argument from contingency. All right. So, and it states, everything in the universe is contingent or dependent upon something else. Okay. All right. To avoid an infinite regress of causes, there must be a necessary being, God, that exists independently and causes all the other contingent beings.
All right.
That one just sounds like the first one. No. Listen, this is the cosmological. Everything depends on something else for its existence, so there must be a first uncaused cause.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, you got to write into Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah.
Thomas.Aquinas@gmail.com.
Thomas at Aquinas at heaven.com. Probably. But yeah, okay. So yeah, folks, those are bleh. God, Lester.exe has stopped working.
All right, so we spent 7 minutes on that, which people have been dealing with for hundreds of years. So
yes, okay.
And we didn't get it in 7 minutes, so let's move on.
7 minutes on heaven. Okay, so that was the 5 ways or the 5 proofs. I don't know what it proves.
That God exists.
The God, sure, great. Well, why are we fighting then?
I don't know.
We're all done. Yeah. Okay. So anyway. Okay.
Right.
So in addition to this, what were you going to say?
Nothing. I'm saying you don't have to be so hard on yourself that we didn't get it after, people take whole college classes on Thomas Aquinas. And
That's true. These to the theologians and the philosophers that listen to us, just shaking your head. It's like, God. Anyway. Okay, but now, in addition to this, Thomism also addresses the existence and nature of demons. Okay. Which I think this is why we're here.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah. But okay. So, however, it is integrated into the broader study of AngeLOLogy, which I know that's a real word, but every time I say it, it sounds like a made-up word. I don't know why demonology sounds real and AngeLOLogy doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, AngeLOLogy has LOL right in the middle. So
there you go. That might have something to do. So what do you study? It's like, I study entomology and sociology and demonology, right? And AngeLOLogy, right? It just
AngeLOLogy.
Oh God, yeah. But okay. So
Raffleology.
Yeah. Raffleology, right? Then again, Keenan, we are talking about Thomism here.
Right.
So, yeah. But yeah, okay, this is so. Aquinas sort of rehashes a lot of stuff that Hippo had originally said. What?
His name's not Hippo. That's where he's from.
Okay. Let me just redo my notes here.
That's Mr. Hippo, if anything. Okay, great. So,
Saint Hippo is
Saint
my father.
Hippo is my father.
Okay. Let me say that again and not sound like an idiot. This is going to be hard. Okay, but Thomas Aquinas sort of rehashes a lot of stuff that St. Augustine of Hippo had already said about demons. Right, so he reaffirms that demons are fallen angels, right? They aim to tempt us and turn us away from God, right? This is all stuff that we've heard before, right? They are allowed to do this as it serves God's plan. Okay. This is the thing that kind of sticks like in my craw, but whatever, you know. We alone cannot overcome demons or the devil, but we must get help from God or the church.
Okay,
all that stuff, you know, St. Augustine already said, right? So we're basically beating a dead horse. Thank you. I was kind of hoping that we'd get a bigger laugh, but whatever.
A bigger laugh than that? That's very funny.
All right. I'll put a rim shot in there. Yeah. But Thomas Aquinas actually did contribute a few additions to demonology, albeit indirectly through angelology, most notable of which is a hierarchy of angels.
Okay,
and this is a hierarchy, and thus a hierarchy of demons. So,
okay, cool. You've talked about this a little bit on the show.
Yeah. So I didn't know that this is where this came from.
Oh,
right?
Cool, great.
Yeah. So he proposed a hierarchical, which is also a hard thing to say, a hierarchical classification of angels based on their proximity to God and their roles within the divine order. So we're going to go in ascending order, starting at the bottom. Okay. So first off, we got angel. This is according to Thomas Aquinas, right? So first off, we got angels, just called angels. This is the lowest choir of angels, simply referred to as angels. They are the closest to the material world. They are often seen as guardian angels who watch over individuals and provide spiritual guidance, right? Then we got archangels. And these are the messengers of God who deliver important revelations or announcements to humans. In some Christian traditions, specific archangels such as Gabriel and Michael are named. Right? Then we got principalities. Now, principalities oversee groups of people and nations on earth. They provide guidance and protection to human societies and nations, right? So I guess like angels for a group of people.
That's
right?
interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that would be the first triad, or the lowest triad, right? And then we got the middle triad, and we have the powers, also known as authorities, right? These are believed to protect the world from the influence of evil spirits and maintain order and balance in the universe. They are often associated with warrior angels, right? And then we got virtues. Virtues are tasked with maintaining the order and harmony of the natural world. They are responsible for performing miracles and ensuring the laws of the cosmos are upheld. So I imagine that's like they're the angels who are in charge of like the seasons and the movement of the celestial bodies and things like that, you know?
Oh, wow. So we're like getting into things that it feels like God is like delegating big parts of his goddom.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about, I knew about like the ranking system, but I didn't know like what each of them was responsible for.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting, right? And then we got dominions, and dominions are associated with the administration of celestial duties and responsibilities. They oversee the lower choir of angels and assist in carrying out God's divine plans.
That reminds me a lot of, say, the burgeoning church and having more bureaucracy in it, and so now this might be a reflection of that.
Yeah, right. So that's the middle triad. I always forget the name. Like I know angels and archangels, and I know I know the bottom two and I know the top two.
Right, exactly.
And these others, like I'm always mixing them up, right? But yeah. So then we get into the top triad, and that starts with the thrones, and the thrones form the third order of angels, and their main role is to transmit God's divine justice and authority to lower angels and to creation. They are seen as beings of great humility and submission to God's will. And then we got the last two up at the top, right? We got the cherubim, right? And we've heard about them before, right? This is where we get the word cherubs, right? Those cute little baby angels, right? Look like Cupid, right? But they are not like that at all. They are the second highest order of angels. They are known for their wisdom and their knowledge of God's mysteries. In Christian iconography, they are often depicted as beings with multiple wings and complex forms, right? They would have like multiple heads, multiple wings, right? Stuff like that.
Right. What they say online is the biblically accurate angels.
Those actually are those might be the Ophanim or something else. Yeah. So we might be wrong about that as well.
Okay.
But if you want to Google like cherubim, let me see. What is it? I think we talked about this before actually. Oh yeah. So they have a couple of like the head of a lion, the head of an ox, and the head of a human, and then multiple wings. Yeah. Having two. Okay. So often depicted in the book of Ezekiel. This is Wikipedia. In the book of Ezekiel, and the cherub is depicted as having two pairs of wings and four faces: that of a lion, an ox, a human, and an eagle. So these are the first ones like you see, and it's like the joke of like, be not afraid. And
right.
It's like, oh my God. Right? Yeah. But then at the top, you got the seraphim, and they are at the top of the angelic hierarchy, according to Thomas Aquinas, and they are the closest to God, and they continuously contemplate his divine glory and love, right? They are characterized by their intense love and their burning desire for God. Okay, so the seraphim are often depicted as beings of intense light and fire, right? They're described as having a radiant, fiery appearance with 6 wings that shimmer with a brilliant light, right? The flames are sometimes symbolic of their passion and their fervor, in serving God, right? They are often portrayed as the angels closest to the throne of God, right? They serve as messengers and caretakers of God's glory, are said to continue to praise and worship the divine. The most famous reference to seraphim is found in the biblical book of Isaiah. In Isaiah 6, verses 1 through 3, the prophet Isaiah describes a vision in which he sees seraphim surrounding the throne of God, calling out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." So yeah. But yeah, so usually they have 6 wings, 1 pair of wings, 6 pairs of wings, one pair covering their face, another pair covering their feet. But then it's been argued that like in these ancient writings, feet could also be referring to like anything like inappropriate, so it just could be covering their private parts.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the last pair of wings is used for flying.
Oh, I'm glad one of them is.
Yeah, right. You need at least one of those. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, basically, like in all the interpretations that I've seen, they're just kind of like surrounding the throne of God and singing hymns of praise to Him. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the 9 choirs or the 9 ranks of angels. I actually never knew it was Thomas Aquinas who proposed this, right? So then through this, because Thomas Aquinas continually like stresses that demons aren't their own thing, right? They are bad angels. We would then assume that there are evil versions of all of these ranks, right? So like evil archangels, evil cherubim, evil seraphim, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
My question is like, do they keep doing their thing? So like if some of them are administrators or some of them are warriors, is that just, what they are when they fall, or do they become their own little, they follow their own path, I suppose, once they fall?
That is a good question. I don't think he talks about that, but like, yeah, I would assume like, okay, so if you have the order of angels that like oversees like, I don't know, the seasons or something like that, right? Or the movement of the celestial bodies or something like that.
Right.
Then an evil version of that angel would, I don't know, like mess things up. He would give you like a rainy day or something like
right,
that. Yes. Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so okay, but here's the thing, Keenan. This was always confusing to me because like you think archangels, right? You think like Michael and Gabriel, right? Like we said, but like Thomism seems to be suggesting that they're on the lower end. Right? Like, but we got to remember, folks, the word archangel existed before Thomas Aquinas did his whole ranking system, right? We see this word in the Hebrew Bible. We see it in the Christian Bible. We see it in various apocryphal texts like the Book of Enoch, and it always is used to signify a very high-ranking angel. Like Michael is often seen as the leader of the heavenly host, right? And even by the Jehovah's Witnesses, like as possibly like pre-human Jesus.
Right. I wonder if the lower ones, like the ones that are more human, right? Those are the ones that are easier for us to conceive when we interact with them. Like,
yeah, that's actually what I was thinking at first.
Oh, okay, cool.
But doing a little research, I'm coming to see that that the divisions of the angels might mean something different.
Oh, cool.
But folks, by now you might also be asking, what about Lucifer?
Yeah, what about Lucifer?
Good question. I have seen in various demon wikis him being cast as an archangel like Michael, and also as a seraphim, the highest rank. Probably because folks assume, oh, he must have been like, the most powerful angel before he fell, right? But here's something to chew on, right? And this answers your what you had just said, Keenan. I've seen an argument that Thomism's hierarchy doesn't group these angels according to power and strength, but to function. So it's not like general, colonel, major. It's more like Army, Navy, Marines.
Okay.
And Air Force. Well, I guess they're all Air Force. But yeah, so folks, just to clarify, right? All of these words existed before Thomas Aquinas made them into categories, right? So like we said, the word archangel is used in the Bible to denote an important high-ranking angel, right? So in the Bible, that's used to separate, that's used to mean like an angel, but like an important angel.
Okay.
Right? And the Hebrew Bible also mentions cherubim and seraphim as far back as Genesis, right? But these passages say nothing about their position in any hierarchy. In fact, they don't even refer to them as angels. It just like says, for example, in Genesis 3:24, this is the King James Version, right? So it says, Genesis 3:24. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So it doesn't really specify that a cherubim is a type of angel.
Right. And it's not exactly what Thomas Aquinas would say, where, these are about knowledge. Well, I guess they're protecting knowledge, maybe, actually. But I guess they're being sort of enforcery here, like keep out.
Yeah, right. So yeah. And then, okay, so this is Isaiah, right? This is Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1-3, right? In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory.
Great. I'm glad, we get some description of these things. That's great.
Yeah. But once again, even in Isaiah, it doesn't say like that these seraphim that he saw are angels. Right. And it says nothing about like, oh, these are the highest ranking angels or anything like that.
Right. Nothing about like what their function is, their class or anything like that. Right.
Right. So I'm taking that to mean that Thomas Aquinas saw that passage in Isaiah and he's like, oh, that must be the closest like group of angels to God since they're like hovering around his throne.
Okay.
And they're singing praises. Right. But like, do these angels fight battles? Do they like are they stronger than an archangel, or are they more like his attendants?
Right.
Yeah.
Or there's a Venn diagram where archangels could be seraphim sometime, or vice versa. Yeah.
There you go. Right. Yeah. What if one of them so what if all of these like cherubim, seraphim, thrones, dominions, powers, and everything like that? What if these are all like jobs,
right?
And you can have like an archangel seraphim,
right? That would make sense to me. But it's not very Aristotelian of us, is it?
No.
We like to have our things broken up, and there are 4 elements, and they are water, fire, air, and earth, and that is it. Yes, we like to divide everything up like that. So
yeah, it is neither Aristotelian nor Socratic nor Platonic.
Right, but that makes sense. If one thing that Aquinas is trying to do, right, is to add logic and Greek type thinking and Greek type of science and philosophy to it, that you'd want to put them in order, even based on the scant evidence there is from the texts.
Right. Yeah. Right. So again, there you go, folks. Like this whole kind of like ranking system of angels and everything like that, not in the Bible. That's Thomas Aquinas doing his AngeLOLogy thing, right? Yeah. Right?
And therefore, the Venn diagram, demonology.
And demonology, right? Angels, therefore demons.
Right.
That's another one of his proofs. That's his sixth proof, right? Angels, we can think of a perfect God, so God exists, and angels exist, so therefore demons exist. So after this, after Thomas Aquinas, right, mentions them, right, you're going to get these demonology texts and this extra biblical stuff concerning demons, and it'll say, oh, well, this demon was a cherubim or a seraphim, right? And that tradition has lasted into like pop culture and comics.
Right.
And so anytime you have a demon, people are interested in, it's like, oh, like, where do they fit in the angelic order? Like, what are their stats, basically?
Right. That's cool. That's fun.
Yeah. And so folks, this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? The more research I do, the more I find regarding the hierarchy of hell. Like, I know we mentioned like the 7 princes of hell on the show, right? We're going to get to that, right? And there's also the like pseudo-monarchia demonium, right? Or the false monarchy of demons, right? And then we got the Dictionnaire Infernal.
I like that. I like both of those. That's great.
Yeah, right? And both of those have helped in forming the Ars Goetia, right? In the Lesser Key of Solomon. Hey, Solomon. And all of these texts are building upon each other and creating their own unique classification and hierarchy of demons. And none of them can agree on who goes where, or how many titles there are, or how many people hold these titles, or, you know, you got dukes, you got princes, you got kings, you got earls and marquises, presidents, and one knight.
Well, really, one night?
Yes, one night in the Ars Goetia. There's all these different, you know, titles, and then you got one night, right? Yeah. And notice, folks, these are all earthly titles, right? So we have moved away from the 9 heavenly orders or like the functions that Thomism has suggested, right? These are just straight up like dukes.
Right.
Right. And yeah, I'd like to get to those, right? They come later, like in the 16th or the 17th century. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so now, as we leave behind these theological debates, right, we're going to next explore how these beliefs were put into action on a grand scale. We're going to bridge the gap between theology and history and see how the devil's role transcended theory and became a driving force behind the infamous Crusades.
Yeah, got to blame somebody for that.
Yeah, right? And it's certainly not the Crusaders. Or the church. No. It was the devil. But yeah, so that's all for my notes. All right, well, that was great. Thanks, past Lester and Keenan. Well, folks, I have been Lester Ryan Clark, both in the past and in the present. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I am immune to the bounds of time, and I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at True Story FM. Like us on Instagram and join our Facebook listener group, Dante's Ninth Circle Sushi and Karaoke Bar, or feel free to drop us a message at thedevilsdetails@gmail.com. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. In the dead of night, when the village is asleep and the witching hour makes the veil between worlds most thin. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media helps our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks. Until next week, love and hisses. Mwah!